Hey, what's up, guys? This is Sam. I'm the Director of Equities at Simpler Trading, and I'm going to be doing the free video for Friday, September 3rd, 2021. So we just finished the first week of September, whereas in the books we have a 3-day weekend to look forward to, and that'll give us a chance to relax a little bit first, but then also, do a little bit of work and prepare for next week. So let's give you a little bit of a jump start here, show you a couple things that I'm going to be looking at for next week, and we will go from there. So let's start off with Tesla here. I just finished making the premium video for the folks in the gold room, and there was a couple of good signs here for Tesla, not just on its own, like the chart's in front of you, and you can see the improvement there certainly, but in terms of the XLY, which is a big component, Tesla's a big component of the XLY ETF. I was seeing some pretty good signs there, and I think it's going to spill over into Tesla. So I still want to keep this very high on the list. I'm thinking that next week is going to be the push up and through that 740 level that says resistance. So let me just show you a couple of things that I'm looking at. You guys mostly, I think, are going to be familiar with the squeeze indicator. Go back and look at Tesla on a weekly chart and see how many red squeezes you see. They're very rare. In the event that you don't have the squeeze indicator, the last time that it had a weekly squeeze was, I think, the middle of 2018. So they're very rare because, keep in mind, it requires a lot of consolidation on a weekly time frame to form a squeeze. In Tesla, when you go from 100 to 700 in a year, it doesn't really consolidate. So this is a very unusual, rare moment in time in terms of the squeeze dynamics. But what I like is that you're setting up the squeeze here. You've technically triggered it long. You've gone from red to black. You have an active buy signal under it, and you're nowhere near the top of the range, right? So that's all very good. Underneath it, you have stacked moving averages. You've had resistance all week at 740. But I'm thinking next week is going to be when they attack and push through that level and probably use 740 as now support once it gets broken. The target that I have here on Tesla, of course, give it time. Although it's Tesla, it might do it in a week. But give it time. The full target that I have on it in the short term, 788. So about 50 bucks higher from here. So worth the time. Very good setup overall, and should be one of your top ones for next week. Sorry about that. I don't know how to mute this thing. So let's keep moving on here. Next up is Home Depot. So Home Depot here, breaking above the 618. That's a 28. Different type of setup because this one has both a weekly and a daily slingshot squeeze. But I like what I'm seeing here. I like this pattern as well of higher lows and this kind of flat top here that it's trying to break out of. And in doing so, you can see kind of the slingshot nature of the squeeze, where it goes negative and then tries to slingshot the other direction. On the weekly chart, you also have a weekly squeeze, which isn't overly common. The last time that you got one was back here, and it led to basically a straight up move from 250 to 340. So I'm not saying that happens again necessarily, but can we get this thing back into the highs here at 345? Seems likely. If nothing else, we can probably get this thing back into this short-term high at 338. So I like what I'm seeing here in Home Depot. I think it's in the right part of the market as well. Taking a little bit of a break from tech next week would make some sense, and Home Depot would certainly fit the bill. So it's definitely on my list. One that I'm already in with the folks in the gold room, we just shorted the 270 puts for September monthly. Pretty clean chart here. Low compression weekly squeeze, daily slingshot squeeze, holding trend, etc., etc. So here, I still think you can do that exact same trade. You can maybe even get it for a better price, shorting the 270 puts here for the September expiration series. If you want to play this with more momentum, just be aware that there's a resistance level here at 273 in the third. But once it clears that, it's pretty much a straight shot to 281. There's a big air pocket here between the zones. So, if you're doing a put credit spread, you don't really care. It can chop around, it can go up. It doesn't really hurt you. If you want to do calls here, then I would probably suggest waiting for a daily close above that 273 level, and then I think you can push those calls into about 281. I like what I'm seeing here. And I'll just go ahead and leave it there. I think it's pretty well aligned. There's a couple of issues here, like I don't like to see that below there, below the middle, not necessarily. The trend oscillator is still completely correct, and then the weekly time frame is rather ideal. So still looking for more here in square. Looking for that push into 281, potentially higher, but 281 for sure. Next up is Walmart. We had a day trade in this one. Maybe not a day trade. We got in yesterday, sold it today. I still think there's more in it. I have no reason to have sold other than just to. I think there's going to be a slight pullback before it goes higher, and I can probably get those calls for slightly cheaper. And if you're in a trade, 25% overnight and something very slow is not bad. The signal in Walmart is mostly that it's in trend, right? So it's got the daily trend. The weekly has no issues whatsoever. We don't even really have to look at that. But the main signal that got me into the trade was right here. You see the buy signal on the 4-hour chart? That's pretty important to me, right? That's pretty important because you had a sell signal up there, and then when you get the buy signal, that usually means you can kind of come up back here and then before you kind of turn back lower. So you have a little bit of a daily squeeze here that's developed. I'm looking for at least 150 here. Of course, I'm also expecting a little bit of a pullback, probably to about maybe 75 cents or so, back to about 48 and a half. I think that's a good place to buy, number one. I think you can push it into 150, but the setup actually is more conducive to breaking. Just be aware that 150 is major resistance, both psychological and from a Fibonacci point of view. Next up is net. So I'm going to keep this one real simple. Hopefully this one is as clean as it gets, so you don't need me to articulate it. It still has more juice to the upside. It's a little bit extended because it's already trying to break out, but as close as you can get this thing back at the breakout level, 126, 127. This breakout range is pretty proper. Should take you into probably about 135, 136. I do like this one on a pullback. The squeeze and the alignment here of the trend oscillator is the best we have. That's the best looking trend oscillator that we've looked at. It's a little extended, so the pullback would make sense, but very good looking setup. Next up is going to be Snap. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this one either because it looks so much like Square, and we just covered Square. I did buy some Snap today. I shorted the I did the 76-74 put credit spread, just starting off small, just to get my feet wet here, kind of introduce myself to Snap a little bit. Also understand that I already have a much bigger position in Square, and they're the same thing. So there's no need to have both necessarily, but I do have both now. Same idea as Square. You can choose which one you prefer, or neither one if you don't agree with the, if your indicators don't agree, then always follow your indicators. And then lastly, Coinbase. Coin. So very good looking setup here. A couple of members in the room have been getting into this. I am in the worst crypto stock, which is Riot, so don't do that. But Coin here looks rather clean. One thing that I really like here about Coin that's pretty unique to my indicator, you see how this is all just chop? This is wide chop. But look at what the trend oscillator looks like down here. See how that's only gotten better? I mean, it's visually perfect. Green over red, red is climbing, green comes down to red, finds support, kicks off. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. So looking for this to come back up here to the highs and potentially, frankly, actually break the highs. As long as I have you here, let's do this. Here's a clean fib. Let's do the IPO high to the absolute low. Oh, look, what do you know? The 382 comes in exactly there. So on Coinbase here, I would certainly look for a retest of this 292 level, major level. If it breaks that level, then you're going to start really making moves to the upside. But I think kind of the low-hanging fruit here is just to do something where you try to take it up into about 293, and the indicator's completely aligned here. So crypto is hot, great looking chart, clean target. One of the better setups that I see in the crypto space. So we'll go ahead and cut it off there, guys. Just a few kind of picks there to get your weekend brain in motion. And we'll see what next week brings. Keep in mind we got a 3-day weekend, so the first trading day will be on Tuesday. And we will look for a little bit of continuation next week with a focus on these picks that we just put out there. All right, guys, that's my time. If you get a chance, come and check us out at simplertrading.com. We do this every day. Also, before you jump somewhere else on the YouTube, go watch cat videos or whatever. Leave us a like, leave us a dislike, leave us a comment. Just interact with our page in some way. It helps us out with the algorithm. And if you like our content, it's free to like our stuff as well. And it really does help us out with getting the word out. So we'd appreciate it if you left us a like. Aside from that, I hope you have a great long weekend, guys. I'll see you next Friday. Cheers. Hey, guys. This is Sam, and I'm the Director of Equities at Simpler Trading. I want to thank you for watching this video. And before you go somewhere else on the YouTube, I'd like to ask that you comment and like the video. It really does help us out with the algorithm and getting the message out to more folks who like to see our content. Also, be sure to click the bell notification and subscribe to our channel so that you never miss anything that comes out. If you want to watch us trade in real time using our own money, come over to simplertrading.com and learn how to sign up. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you for the next video. Cheers.